Just loading. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone watching us now or pre-recorded later. My name's Lara. I'm the co-chair of the Young Europeans Network. And we're here today with someone with a very similar name to ours, the Young Europeans Movement. They're going to be leading a presentation for us today on youth activism, how young people can put their ideas into action, how they can be active citizens. And they're going to tell us a little bit more about their organization and what they do and how you can be involved with them as well. This is another event part of our EU Citizens Festival, which is all with the big purpose of encouraging more and more EU citizens to register to vote for the local elections coming up on the 6th of May. And as we've said before, but if you're hearing this for the first time, you've got until the 19th of April, Monday midnight to register to vote, and you can apply for a postal vote until the 20th of April as well. So I think these two guys have got a really good presentation for us today, and I'm very happy to pass it on to them. I am going to be here for some support. I'm going to be live streaming this on TikTok as well. So I'll just be passing on any comments, any questions that we get, but it's really up to you guys now. So I'll pass it over to Julius, who's the president of the Young Europeans Movement.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you, Lara, and thanks for inviting us as the Young European Movement UK. Thanks for joining us for this session, and very unfortunate that we can't meet you in person, because obviously this is where connections are made. This is where social movements are boosted, founded, and where they gain in strength. We as the Young European Movement UK, we are the pro-European voice of UK-based youth. I say specifically UK-based youth and not UK youth, because we are indeed the voice of all young people in the UK that are residing in the UK, that have the passport of the UK, or maybe not, but that feel European and that feel connected to that European idea of unity, of solving political challenges together, of being activists as citizens, being change makers, pushing for democracy, civil rights, democracy, civic participation, and so on and so forth. And you will learn a lot more about this in our presentation today, and obviously on our social media handles, and also by directly getting in touch with us. And I think that Martin is going to share his screen now, and going to start the presentation, which will give you a good gist of the breadth of issues that we are working on. So as soon as we see the slides, Martin, you can kick it off. But before we do that, just quickly about myself. My name is Julius. I'm the president of the Young European Movement UK. I'm originally Austrian, so I'm also a continental European. I'm European just in the same degree that a UK citizen is European. That's a very important message we always need to sort of pinch in. And I went to the UK to study in Scotland for my undergraduate degree in the field of international relations and legal studies. And maybe Martin, if you want to quickly present yourself, and also start to share the screen if you already have the permission.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Julius, for that. My name is Martin. I'm the treasurer of the Young European Movement. And much like Julius, I'm a new student who came to study in politics and international relations in Manchester this year. I've been involved in activism both on European level through MUK and also here on the local level in Manchester on numerous youth issues. And it was also why it is a shame that we can't meet in person, as that is where these movements grow, that's where ideas spread. But we're happy to have you here today, and we'd like to share with you what we do at the M and how you can also get involved and get your voice heard as a young person. So I will share my screen right now.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, great. So we're going to have a presentation on what the Young European Movement is, what we do, what our origins are, and how you can also get involved yourself and help grow the movement. So we're going to cover a couple of different issues. And so first we want to cover, of course, where do we come from? So The Young European Movement UK is the UK's largest independent youth NGO that focuses on Europe, on the UK's relationship with Europe. We are the local section of our European-wide organization, Jeff Europe, which includes numerous other sections in pretty much almost every single country on the continent. And we are also the youth wing of the European Movement UK, which is the UK's biggest cross-party organization that also is focusing on European issues, and especially now during Brexit, is gaining even more prominence as one of the premier pro-European organizations. So we have over 13,000 members across Europe, and also numerous sections in a couple of cities. We also have the support of our numerous local sections from the European movement. And we also have a much growing membership, which is increasing every day. So currently we also have our team, our President Julius here, and of course me. And we also have numerous other positions in our board, including international officer, communications officer, branches officer, and we're also always expanding, of course. So we want to go a bit over our network as Jeff Europe. And Julius, if you'd like to take over this, as you have a bit more experience in dealing with Jeff. You're muted, just saying.
I'm sorry. Of course, what you see here is two maps. On the left-hand side, you see our European Umbrella Organization, which, as you know now, is the biggest political youth organization in the whole continent, with sections literally reaching from the north of Norway to the very south of Europe. In Malta, for example, I've been to a wonderful Jeff event there. And also, and I have to say the map is not entirely updated because we have some new sections added there. You can see also we are expanding into the very east of Europe, what we consider Europe as well. And of course, you can see a lot of sections in the Central European space. All over the place, 250 sections. So if there is a place, for example, if you decide to move to study in a different country, or for work reasons, or for anything other. For any other reason, you use your right, your freedom of movement as a EU citizen, chances are you're going to meet like-minded people organized in sections there. And moving on to our map here in the UK, we have a couple of active sections and a couple of sort of interest groups, so branches which are currently in the process of being founded. And again, we reach from the very north to the very south, in this case from the northeast in Aberdeen, my dear study location, coming down via Edinburgh, Durham, Merseyside, and Manchester, actually, so where Martin is hailing from at the moment. We also have an interest group there. Then Cambridge, London, Canterbury. We have an interest group that is currently founding a YEM branch in Exeter, and a couple of more places which we didn't put on the map because it's basically changing on a daily basis, and we are growing. So if you're interested in growing this with us, if you're interested in the actions that we are going to present, we do, and in this European cause, this political but also social European cause about giving young people opportunities, then a very good way to get involved indeed is by helping us boost activity on the local level, because the local level is really the whole base of the organization. This is what you see on the right-hand side. You see that we are an organization that is organized in a federal way, which means that we have different levels with different responsibilities. And that starts with the local level, with the branches level, continues over the regional level, which we don't have in the UK itself yet. That might be something to consider for the future. But in other countries, we have, for example, federal states like in Germany or in Italy, Austria, where we have regional branches, and we have the national branches, obviously, and the European umbrella, which is sort of the overarching network, and which organizes tons of wonderful opportunities where I really developed to be that European that I am today. This is really thanks to this network opportunities that Jeff Europe provided me with, and that Jeff Europe will provide you with if you join us. Next slide, please. You can see here we are also definitely active beyond the EU. So this is something that many people don't really realize when they hear either Young European Movement or Jeff Europe, Young European Federalists, they think that we are purely operating in EU countries, and they also think that we are kind of an organization that just hails the EU, like a PR agency of the EU. This is totally not what we are. We are actually criticizing the EU in many, many ways. First and foremost, very often, that the EU is not working the way that it currently is. We see a lot of problems in the way that the EU is set up. We also see that Brexit is a result of an EU that didn't work, that didn't deliver what citizens wanted, and we definitely criticize the EU. So both sections from within as well as sections outside the EU are very active. So we have, for example, the section in Norway, Europeisk Ungdom, I beg your pardon for any pronunciation mistake, or also the Young European Swiss, so Switzerland and Norway, or also, for example, Jeff North Macedonia, or here on the slide as it says Jeff Macedonia, if you want to check out the Facebook, are active for the European cause and are promoting basically the same ideals, and are usually fighting for a closer relationship with other European countries, because the challenges that the world faces at the moment are really not of a nature where they can be addressed by one country alone, and certainly not by countries as small as the European ones. Next slide, please. Yeah, you have here the Jeff Europe Federal Committee, which is not something that we're going to go into depth now, but basically the Federal Committee is sort of the overarching governance structure of the wider movement, of the wider organization of Jeff Europe, and the Federal Committee operates like an extended board, if you like. And what's really good, and this shows how deeply democratic we are and how deeply we want to include every single member's voice, and that is the task forces. So TF stands for task force, and as you can guess, it's a group of people that comes together to solve a specific task or challenge. We have one task force on capacity building, which basically improves our effectiveness, our quality of management, of governance, of output. We have a task force that focuses on civic education, going into schools, going into vocational training centers, speaking about Europe, speaking about opportunities that Europe provides. We have a task force on empowerment and diversity, because obviously as a youth organization, we are also impacted by the fact that sometimes we can't reach beyond our bubble in many ways of diversity. And we're working on that issue. So if that's something that you're interested in, making the network more diverse, or if you feel that you yourself are maybe part of a group that is usually underrepresented in those organizations, or maybe in politics generally, I think Jeff or the Young European Movement is a wonderful place to get involved with. Green Transition, if I can pronounce it, speaks for itself. And Resilient Jeff is a task force that basically wants to develop the long-term strategy of the organization. Where do we go beyond the day-to-day political campaigning that we do? And YFED is a wonderful program. It is a program that was developed a couple of years ago, which basically wants to make young people like us, Jeff members, Jeff volunteers, Jeff supporters, understand what this Europe that we always campaign for would actually look like in practice. And this is why this summer we're going to come together physically, so God will, in Strasbourg, in the European Parliament, in the heart of European democracy. And we're going to simulate a European Union that will be organized in a much more democratic way, which would be a direct representation of citizens and a direct representation of the member states, but not with a European Council that can veto any decision and that can hinder the progress that we need. So the European Parliament would be much more powerful in that regard, and would have also the right to propose legislation, which it doesn't have at the moment, and so on and so forth. If you're interested in that, I highly encourage you to ask a question, either right now in the comments or also in the chat if you have access to it, because we would like to get into depth on that and tell you more about it, because there is some wonderful opportunities that are currently open for grabs if you would like to take part in this. Next slide, please. Yeah, we also have Adopt a Jeffer, which is a Facebook group. So if you ever travel and you need some local advice, or for example, you might also want to couch surf, if you know what that is, then you can put an advert into this Facebook group if you are a member. And usually in most places of Europe, there will be someone at least close by who can give you a good pointer for maybe an affordable hostel, a good restaurant, and help you avoid any kind of tourist traps that you might face otherwise. So once we're back to traveling, usually and normally, this group is really, really worth a lot. And I also took advantage of that myself. And Jeff Spirit is our hashtag. Sorry, just one little remark on the hashtag. If you want to find activities that we do, then look for that hashtag here, which is Jeff Spirit. Sorry, Martin, I'm speaking too long. Please please continue with the next number of slides.
Of course. So one big question is, of course, what makes us unique compared to other youth organizations? And one thing that makes YEM and of course Jeff unique is, of course, our network. So we are a very large network of young people across all over the UK and with connections to Europe, which means we can share ideas, we can share campaigns and grow these ideas into actual action and drive change that way on a much bigger scale than most other grassroots organizations that can achieve on a purely local level. So, of course, then the question is, well, what do we do as an organization? And throughout its history, its very, very long history, Jeff and YEM have had numerous campaigns on numerous issues. This goes back all the way to numerous marches for Europe, back in Rome, during the 50s, all the way to anti-Brexit protests in the past couple of years. And a couple of campaigns we are currently undergoing, which we'll also get to. We can also join because so another thing we also do, which we won't be discussing too much now, is we also develop policies on the European level through our federal committees, but that is something you can also look into if you join as a YEM member, because it also automatically makes you a Jeff Europe member. So our projects, currently we have a couple of projects we're spearheading this year. One of them is Brexit reality portraits. Now, as young people in the UK, many of us either come from Europe, have friends in Europe, or have been on Erasmus trips, or have had some connection to the continent. And Brexit has affected all of us in many different ways. So our goal was to create this series of interviews, both video and audio format, where people can share their own experiences with how Brexit has affected them and give people some insight into the many different nuances of the Brexit transition in different fields, in some ways that many of us have not even thought of, from businesses to students to university research, many different ways that Brexit has affected young people and all over the continent, and of course in the UK most of all. Another thing is campaigning for Erasmus. So Erasmus Plus is a program which gave many young people in the UK the opportunity to travel and study in Europe, make good friends, have experiences which they would never have been able to have otherwise, and make connections that will last them for a lifetime. It also allowed for many Europeans to travel to the UK, where they also share these experiences and would, of course, give back to their local communities in form of diversity and sharing of the ideas. And after the Brexit deadline, the UK, of course, left the Erasmus Plus program, something which was not needed, something that could have been avoided. And as we have seen with the incoming Turing scheme, it does not live up to the legacy of Erasmus. And as we have also seen in Northern Ireland and from the remarks of the Commission, the UK could have remained, and we strongly believe that we should do anything we can to get the UK back into the Erasmus program, so many other young people like us, like you, will be able to have these experiences and can be ever closer to Europe. So, developing our network. Our network is comprised of course, first of all, our members who are spread over numerous parts of the UK and local sections. We also have volunteers who help develop our campaigns. Many of them come from the UK, but also from Europe, and anyone, of course, is open to be a volunteer. And of course, we have our supporters, which help us to go to our events, which look at our emails, and which help us spread the message ever further. And all of these also come together in the form of interest groups and hopefully lead to the creation of local branches. Now we have numerous branches, as Julius already mentioned, across the UK, and these are growing every day. We have numerous interest groups currently. We are developing also branches here in my city of Manchester, also in nearby Sheffield, interest groups in Leicester, of course, and also numerous parts of Scotland. So anywhere where there are young people who want to help bring the UK closer to Europe, who feel European, who want to fight for the European values, then everyone is free to create a local branch to help push for those beliefs. So, of course, we have numerous projects also on the European level, which EMUK takes part of. These include Europe at School and Europe at Home programs, YFED, which you already mentioned, conference, a couple of such as the Conference Future Europe and Green Y. I'll also talk about Intern Governance, which are Jeff Europe programs, which we'll not get into too much right now. And also Relaying Democracy's Europe and Mindset. Now, these projects encompass all Jeff sections, and they can all, which includes, of course, the EMUK, and they can all, of course, become members. And you can also join through EMUK, all those. So going through education, I'd like to give this one specifically to Julius. You're muted.
Once again, I still haven't learned after 1 year of a pandemic. At SDF Europe, together with our partners all over Europe, we are running a program that is quite renowned and quite well known, which is called Europe at School. Now, the country that you are from, if you are from continental Europe, might also offer this program under a different name. For example, in France, it's called Europe for the Young, or in Germany, it's called Understanding Europe. So there is different names to the same thing. And this program, Europe at School, which is created and run by Jeff Europe together with the national sections, basically wants to bring Europe into schools, because we see, and this is something that wasn't only an issue in the UK before the referendum, but also all over Europe, we see a huge lack of European Union politics, European Union political decision making, and also explanations about what this actually is and what this gives me as a young person in schools. And since this is not part of the curriculum, unfortunately, we thought, okay, let's do it ourselves until the politicians realized that this should be in there. And we developed a couple of workshop programs, which vary from country to country, also take into account political debates that happen in a country, but that are maybe irrelevant in another one. And we in the EMUK, we are currently reviving this civic education program in schools, and we are working together with the European Parliament and the European Parliament Ambassador Schools program. So if you are interested in facilitating workshops, if you are interested in speaking to young audiences or audiences of roughly your age, and if you want to make people interested in this kind of dimension of politics and this European cause, then I can only encourage you more than ever to get in touch with us, because we are currently looking for people to get started on this project, which basically entails adapting the materials to the UK context, also taking into account that we have left the EU, and that this is something that we can't really reverse in the short run. And also we're going to offer training for trainers, so you're going to get professional training in terms of how to facilitate those discussions and how to solve, for example, conflict situations between participants, if there is a difference in opinions, and how to react to maybe participants that are particularly loud or particularly active, and how to include others. So these are skills that I learned thanks to Jeff Europe, thanks to EMUK, which are invaluable and which are also very, very, very usable in terms of employability in your professional life later on. If you don't mind, Martin, I'm just going to continue with that slide. So on Europe Day, which is, as many of you will know, the 9th of May, where we are planning a number of activities, and we are hoping that we will also be able to do some physical activities. Amongst others, we were thinking about a European picnic. So wherever you are based, all over the country, we would try and match you up with another pro-European that would like to have a European picnic with you. You might know that the Pan-European picnic in Hungary was a strong signal of civic activism, also of civil disobedience against oppression and the lack of democracy back in authoritarian Hungary. And we would like to sort of use this moment and this historical reflection to make a European picnic on Europe Day, where we ask people to come together and provide them maybe with recipes from European countries to prepare some food, to share, to have good stories, not only talking about Europe, of course, but maybe also a little bit making aware each other what this bigger thing is that we are part of, and this is the key message, that the UK remains part of, because the UK never left Europe, even though this is something that we hear in the media. The UK left the European Union, and the UK remains European beyond its EU membership, and the UK was European before, just as Switzerland is European. So this is something that we are planning on Europe Day, and a couple of other initiatives that, if you're interested in, we can talk about that in the Q&A, or also if you get in touch with us. And also, we are building our community both online and offline, but basically we are, our mission is to make young people excited about Europe again, because what we face in the UK is an extremely difficult situation. It's a situation which no other non-EU section has, which is that we were a member before, and those opportunities and this membership was taken from us. So where in Switzerland and in Norway, perhaps young people are super excited because they see this opportunity, they could become a member of this European Union. This is not any option for now for young people in the UK. And we have to focus on establishing and re-establishing and reinforcing that link between young people and in the UK and Europe, and particularly between young Europeans in the UK and young Europeans in continental Europe, because the current political climate makes that very difficult. And we're doing that through a number of initiatives, like the ones that we mentioned and many more, to also establish this emotional and this social connection between people based in the UK and people based in Europe. Also, just to point this out, if you are interested in podcasting, we are also looking for people who want to get started on that. We are planning a YEM UK podcast. So if you have experience or not, if you're interested, this is all that counts. And we invite you to get in touch with us and to get started on this whenever you're ready, we are. And finally, an opportunity which is also quite nice. We as, again, Jeff Europe, together with, so this is YEM UK, together with other national sections, we operate an online web zine, so a web magazine, which is called The New Federalist, where we publish articles in, is it 6 languages at the moment? It's, again, something that also changes every time, but languages from Polish to Italian, French, German, English, obviously, are all covered. And we offer members and volunteers the possibility to publish their articles there. You will not only get the possibility to 200,000 unique readers, but also the opportunity to have your article, your work, your research checked by a very dedicated editors team that is very experienced in youth and media, and that can give you professional feedback. And some of our volunteers with the New Federalist have continued to go on to work with the European Parliament Youth Outreach Unit for the European Youth Event, for example, to become reporters there. So this is, again, you see a link to where you can take this in the future. This is not just an article that is put online and that's it. This is much more. This is actually you learning how to be a journalist. And this is something that you can also do with us through the New Federalist. And we are also interested in expanding the UK section of the New Federalist. So a specific sort of blog, online web zine for the Young European Movement UK, which we can do with your help. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the page which you can see now. Oh, okay, I was even understating it. It's 250 unique views in a month, 250,000 of course, and 5 languages, as you can read here. And it's a very nice website. So if you want to have a look at it, thenewfederalist.eu, or just Google it, then you can find that, and we can also put the link into the chat. Next slide, please.
Yeah, just to add to that, they did expand into Polish and also have a small section in Romanian, funnily enough. So the languages are growing pretty regularly there, and everyone
Nice,
can contribute.
nice. Yeah, you want to take it on there from there, Martin?
Okay, so as we mentioned, we have numerous campaigns and street actions. Of course, street actions in the past year have not been very easy to organize due to COVID, but despite that, many people have found very creative ways to drive forward some campaigns. So I'll go over some of them right now. So one of Jeff Europe's, and by extension EM's, oldest campaigns is Democracy Under Pressure. Now, as someone who comes from Bulgaria, this campaign, which is very close to home, as Democracy Under Pressure campaign started back in, I believe, 2006, as a campaign to support democracy in Belarus. That, of course, led to numerous actions taking place every year, where people will go out on the streets and demonstrate in support of a democratic transition in Belarus, and then expanded to include more and more countries, including Bulgaria, Hungary, Russia, Poland. And this year we had our 15th anniversary, which meant that we had an entire plan of events over a couple of months, where we had webinars on every single country which the campaign encompasses. Sadly, in the past couple of years, the UK has also been added to that list. And we have also taken numerous actions through this campaign, such as you can see in the picture, social media campaign, where we covered statues with red cloths, and then had the Democracy Under Pressure or any other slogan in front to symbolize people's voices being silenced. We also sent letters to political prisoners in Belarus, and we also wrote to our universities in order to call out Russian universities which had threatened the safety of their students. And also we contacted local councils if they could light up buildings in the city in the colors of the Belarusian flag. So this is a campaign which encompasses not only many parts of Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, as many of our viewers today will probably be from Lithuania or Romania, Bulgaria. And this is something that, of course, would love you to take part in. Anyone can contribute any way they want to, and it's every year. So even if you missed this year, there's always next year to get involved. So we have also our capacity building. Jules, perhaps you want to comment on that?
Yep, very happy to. So capacity building, as I already talked about when I was talking about the Federal Committee and the task forces that you can get involved with as a member, and also just as a volunteer. We are very much focused on developing the capacity, both of the organization and of the members, which is why there is enormous amounts of trainings offered. Usually those trainings would take place physically in Brussels or in any other place in Europe. And usually, which is very handy and very also very open and welcoming towards young people, these are either free of charge or maybe with a participation fee of something like 50 euros. However, that includes accommodation, food, and so on and so forth, and very often even a travel reimbursement. So you don't even need to pay for the trip yourself. What you learn in those trainings can be anything and everything. We have trainings on youth in media, for example. So I was talking about the New Federalist before. I was participating in a seminar in Malta, for example, where I learned how young people can be active in the fight against fake news, and how we can sort of take a more active course, even though we are not the ones that own the media, we are not the ones in the seat of the editor-in-chief. What we can do to actually combat fake news. This can be a training about social media. This can be a training about communications, public speaking, project management, change management. How do I manage a team of volunteers? And all these things are very handy for your work with us as Young European Movement UK or any other section of the network. Those skills are useful if you work with the Young Europeans network. This is something generally useful, but it can also be useful for the rest of your life. And I can tell you that certain professional opportunities that I received, I would have never had if I hadn't had those opportunities for Jeff Europe. And Jeff Europe also offers very dedicated sessions for its sections, like for example Pimp My Jeff, which we as Young European Movement UK, which we won last year, where we got the advantage to take advantage of a program that would basically pimp our section. So we would be kind of audited, we would receive advice, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so next slide, please. You see, yeah, this is already what I told you before. We already covered most of this. So a Europe at School, again, this is a project that we want to run in the UK, and that's also active on the European level. So this was the one about the schools. Next slide, please. Here you see who supports us. So you might know the logos of those two organizations. They're not the same. One of which is the Council of Europe, which encompasses countries like Turkey, Russia, and many non-EU member states. And the other one is the European Commission, which is part of the European Union. And both of them sponsor our activities, even though, unfortunately, directly as EMUK, we as UK-based organization, we cannot receive funding from the EU anymore because we have left the EU, which is something that really, really impacts our work. Yeah, we still have the Council of Europe, and we're obviously working on ways to cover up this loss of funding. Next slide, please. We are also members of other organizations. We're members of the European Movement International, the largest, obviously, umbrella organization of European movements in the world, we should say. We are a member of the Union of European Federalists, which is the oldest organization that was fighting for European unity. This already started between the two world wars on a small island in Italy, and continued on and is still active today. We are part of the European Youth Forum through Jeff Europe, which is where all the national youth councils, like the British Youth Councils, are represented at the European level. And we are also collaborating with the European Youth Forum when it comes to things like Erasmus advocacy and other things that we work on politically. And we are a member of the network Civil Society Europe through Jeff Europe. Next slide, please. If you look at those slides, and I'm sorry, but we will have to skip those, you can see what is the more precise sort of institutional challenges that we work on. Next slide, please, because we don't have the time for that today. What is our Europe? It is a campaign that we ran when we wanted to make clear what Europe is good at. Slide, please. And our Europe represents our pan-European interests. This is something. Yeah, this is part of this campaign. So again, if you want to look up that hashtag, then you can do that. And I think in order not to take too much time and to leave some time for the Q&A, I will just show you the last slide, which includes all the handles. You can check the message that Lara put into the comments under the Facebook live stream as well. That should already be in there. You can see the handles and you can click them conveniently, whether you are on a mobile or desktop device. And you can hit the follow, like, and whatever to our social media handles. Check out our website. Join our mailing list, which is literally yem.org.uk/join. And you're going to get all the info. And you can also reach out to me personally at president@yem.org.uk, or if you want to reach all of us, or perhaps get a quicker response, info@yem.org.uk, which the team looks at in its entirety. And this brings us to the end of our presentation. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope that was really helpful. And now we are open for some questions from the audience, if there are any. And if not, I have some questions for Martin.
Now, there's one question from TikTok. They asked, what is the practical type of support that you receive from the European Commission?
We as YEM UK, we can't receive financial support anymore. So financial support is not possible. What we can receive as YEM UK directly, however, is institutional support, like, for example, the offices of the European Commission, so the European delegation in London, which has changed from being the representation of the Commission to becoming basically like an embassy of the EU. And those premises are not generally open, but they said that they would be very willing to partner up with us. They connect us to other European partners, not least the connection between YEM UK and the Young Europeans Network was established through that link as well. So they are our friends and partners. They support our mission, but obviously they can't give us any funding or anything beyond that. And in terms of Jeff Europe, so our European level, we receive a lot of funding from the European Commission because the European level is quite successful at grant applications, and the European Commission puts out grant applications where they say, we have this and that much money available. Please submit us our plans. How would you like to reach citizens more effectively with political communications about the Green Deal, for example? And Jeff Europe is just very experienced in those grants and has won a number of them. And this is why the Secretariat, the office team also grew a lot. So they are an eight full-time staff members office in Brussels, I think, at the moment. And they are supporting us a lot through that. But directly, we can't receive any funding from the European Commission anymore. Is there any more questions?
Not that I can see. Very interesting. I like the picnic idea.
Yes, we hope that many people are going to take part. So we hope that all those are watching, all those watching will sign up for the newsletter and stay tuned that way. And maybe in the meantime, while people can think about questions, perhaps I have a question for Martin. So I'm a viewer of this live stream now, and I got a lot of information. It was really a lot, so I didn't remember everything. What can I do to learn more?
Okay, that's a very good question, actually. So, a very straightforward answer. So, what you can do, or the best thing you can do, of course, is go to our website, where you can see additional information on who we are, what we do, our campaigns, how you can get involved. You can also sign up to our newsletters, and also critically, I think, is you can contact us. You can reach out to us either on social media or even shoot us an email, and some from our team or even Julius or me are going to respond. And that way, if you have any questions of any kind, we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have another. Lara, you're gonna interrupt me, okay? If there is any questions from
yeah. I'm following. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I have another question. I'm a person that was against Brexit always. I saw the Brexit referendum happen. I saw the years thereafter. I saw that this country is not getting the message of Brexit being a bad decision. What is the point of YEM UK's existence? Why are you active in YEM UK, Martin?
Me personally, or the organization as a whole?
Well, I think both is interesting, but I think that this is honestly a question. I mean, obviously, I can answer myself, but I'm also interested in your view. But I think that this is what many people ask themselves. Many young people across the country ask themselves, what is the point of pro-European activism in a post-Brexit UK? Have a take, Martin, and I'll add my mustard, as we say in German.
Okay, so I think one thing that we have to always remember is that, yes, Brexit happened. The UK left the EU, but the UK is and always will be, always has been, a part of Europe, and that will not change. There are many people here who have come from other European countries who have settled here, who have made this place their home. There are many people here who have connections to Europe through friends and family. And for that reason, as we have seen through numerous polls, numerous statistics, that young people still feel a connection to Europe. They did not support this. This was not our choice. So it is important that we keep that connection with Europe going, because even if we won't rejoin tomorrow or anything, we have to do it for the young people in the UK, because this is their future, this is their voice. So we need to keep that flame burning, so to speak.
A question that I have to you both, like, what do you consider your identity to be? Do you consider your national identity to be more of a priority than your European one, and how does that help you in your involvement in these campaigns? Oh, yeah, just asking Martin now.
Okay, so I will say that of course, I come from Bulgaria, but I'm in this interesting situation where I do have family in the UK, and I've also have friends from literally all over the continent. So while I will say if someone asks me, yes, I am Bulgarian, but I am also European, because I have met people from all over the continent, from neighboring countries and from not so close countries. I have now lived in the UK. I've personally experienced the similarities that bring us together, the shared struggles we have, especially now as EU citizens during Brexit. I've also seen how similar we are in terms of our culture, our history, and that will always will shape some part of my identity in a sense. Like I always will be European and Bulgarian.
I can maybe, yeah, provide a similar account. To be honest, I'm an Austrian and German citizen, so this is sort of my origin, if you like. But my name is, pardon me, I have to drink something.
Yeah, that's okay.
Beg your pardon. My name is Hungarian, and this is where my family's roots lie, for example. So already in my family, and I didn't grow up in many different countries. I just grew up in Austria, and then I moved to Belgium. I'm sorry, I need someone else to speak. I
That's
can't
okay.
speak.
Go on. Yeah. Take your time. Yeah, I think with me, like I am involved in the campaigning for EU citizens' rights, but I always get the question asked because I'm actually from Brazil. I was born and raised in Brazil, but I have Italian citizenship, so I don't always feel that European sense of my identity because I wasn't brought up with that. But in terms of like campaigning for our rights, that is always something that's very important, and I think that's something that I would say to others as well. Like even if you have that cultural identity, that's great, but even if you don't, there's so many reasons for us to be campaigning and organizing together for all of the reasons that you guys mentioned before, improving our environment and so on.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm going to give it another try now. I think it should be fine now. So I was speaking about my German and Austrian citizenship and my Hungarian name. So already with me as having been born and bred in just one country in Austria, I have these three kind of national origins in me. I then went on to do an internship in Brussels, and then I went to the UK to study. And this is sort of, Hungary, Austria, Germany, Belgium, UK, are we the fifth country? And I have the observation, and I'm not saying this to say that we are all the same and that I don't see and I appreciate actually cultural differences, but I definitely see a very, very strong similarity between countries. And I really feel very, very home in all of those countries. And this is why, and this is not only because I lived in those places, but also because I made social connections with people from all over Europe, thanks to those events that we spoke about. Thanks to those events where I learn, I co-create, I educate myself, but I also make friends. And through these social connections, Europe grows together. And I think this is what really made me the European that I am today, because I saw that even though that person has a different language, different food, different weather, different climate usually, that person still has the same, that young person critically still has the same needs and thoughts and desires for their future. And that sounds a bit cheesy, but I actually really mean it. And that was surprising for me to hear, because I had the impression that these people are very, very different. And I think the language barrier in Europe is huge, We have so many mini states in comparison to the world, which have their own language. I don't know how this happened that way. I think it's terrific because I love languages. But I think this really makes communication very difficult. So language training is if I had a lot of money and a lot of influence, I would really make people learn a lot of languages, because that would really help with intercultural communication. And my identity is, to answer your question at the very end, my answer would be I am primarily European, because I want to promote that cause, and because I know that many people always focus on their own national identity, rather than also considering that there is different levels of identity, such as their regional one, their local town, or for example, the European one. So I want to put that in the forefront for promotional purposes. But I also feel very strongly Austrian. I feel very strongly connected to my home country. But I feel equally connected, well, not equally maybe connected, but I feel very, very strongly connected to France, for example, where I'm doing my Erasmus year. So this is how, you move to a country, you settle into the society, you learn the language, you get to know people, and you notice actually they are not that different. And this is kind of the key takeaway that I had from these European mobility schemes, which I had the great advantage to take part in, and which I only urge everyone to take part in if they can. Unfortunately, we know that a considerable part of our membership is not eligible anymore because they hold only a UK passport. But there is different schemes. There is still youth mobility continuing, although very, very diminished. And there is, for example, the Council of Europe programs, and we are going to probably, fingers crossed, also run a program in 2022 together with the Council of Europe and Jeff Europe here in the UK. Which is going to be open to UK citizens as well, and which is going to include all the amenities that we know with regards to travel reimbursement and so on. But even before that, I can only encourage you to apply to Jeff Europe events whenever you can, and to obviously join with us in our lobbying to get a closer relationship done. Because even in the short run, if it's not going to be EU membership, there is definitely more cooperation possible. And this is why I come back to Martin's question, and then I'm going to shut up, on the notion of why are we here and what do we actually do? We are here because we focus on the opportunity that we have as young people to forge a closer relationship. Because there is many countries that are not members of the European Union, and they are still full members of Erasmus, and they have access to those volunteering opportunities, European Solidarity Corps, student mobility, vocational training, and so on and so forth. The program is so big; it's much bigger than students going abroad, like the Turing scheme does, albeit it's only a one-way system. It's so much more rich, and there is many other bilateral agreements that the EU holds with other countries, and the EU, the UK, for ideological reasons, decided to cut this band as thoroughly as possible, and to put a big block in the English Channel to really push these two countries apart. This is kind of the analogy that I'm always using. And we as Young European Movement UK, we as young Europeans in the country, and specifically those that are watching here today, many of which will hold also a European continental passport, our mission is to fight against this pushing out. Our mission is to hold against that and to keep the UK and the EU together, to keep specifically the young people of those two regions together, and to fight against the ideology of we are so different and we don't need them, because we do need Europe, and specifically young people need Europe and want Europe. And this is the message that we have to focus on and that we want to get out there. And we are looking forward to you joining us in that mission.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that's right about that flexibility of discovering that we're not that different at the end of the day. It's quite key. So I don't see any more questions. I don't know if you guys want to say anything else. Otherwise, I think I
do have one thing positive can end on. So this is a question directed to both of you. So as basically the youngest person here, so say I'm a young person who has never been active before in terms of politics or activism or anything, but there's this issue I feel very strongly about for whatever reason. Something has happened in my life, or I've witnessed something, I just want to get involved now. What advice would you give this young person?
Sure. Don't know if I can start just with the Young Europeans Network. I think this whole festival this week has been focused on what a young person can do, and there are so many channels that are, of course, like organizations like ours that are more targeted, but also like if you want to do something individually as well. You can always like just reach out to your local councillor, your MP. Like you can always take that small step, small action to work on the issue that affects you. If it's something small, then of course you can, it's small and local, you might as well just do something very, very localized. But if you care about bigger issues, then there are so many organizations like ours. You've just done a brilliant presentation of building those links. It's so important.
There we go. That was an excellent take on. I would like to add something different maybe. I also think that we first have to start with ourselves and our comfort zone, because I think that there is many people who would be great political social activists. I use this as the same term because I think it's very closely linked. But they don't step out of their comfort zone. They don't write that email to the council. They don't get in touch with that organization, like us, for example. And they don't get involved because they are shy. They think they're not going to be taken seriously. They think they are too little knowledgeable. They have too few skills. They're not usable. They're not professional enough. And the answer is no, 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 no. You are professional enough. You know enough. And the main thing that matters is maybe not even having a clear political aim in mind, but having some things in mind that you would like to get active with, and having that energy and that passion for that cause. And the rest is what the youth organization, whichever, and there is many good out there, whichever you decide to join, all the rest of this is the youth organization's job. And they're going to equip you with the skills. They're going to connect you to the people. They're going to give you the training that you need. They're going to give you contacts. And this is where you can become being that activist. And we are definitely very open. But I'm not going to lie, there is many cool organizations out there. And the main thing is for an active civil society, specifically young people, to be active somewhere. And if this is with us, I would be very delighted to see you.
Definitely, I think that's key. If you've got the interest, the passion, everything else will come, and you receive the support from others. You find friends that think alike and will support you in that journey.
Thanks a lot. I think that's probably our time done.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
If there are any more questions, please, because we're not going to be able to follow the Facebook feed, please do instead get it with the channels.
Of course. Yeah, this will be recorded and be uploaded on YouTube as well. So we will generate more views later on.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot for the invitation once again, Laura. Thanks a lot, Martin. And see you all out there.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.